What if your next grocery trip looked like this? Half the shelves empty. Eggs gone, the flour nowhere. Coffee? Vanished. Sounds dramatic? It's already happening in parts of the country, and prices are exploding. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal 9 grocery items you must grab now, before the food shortage hits your area. And warning, number 6 will shock you. Hey everyone, I've spent hours digging through USDA reports, real-time price tracking, and unfiltered consumer posts from Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter. And what I found is alarming. Egg prices have doubled in some states, beef is hitting record highs, and certain pantry staples are quietly disappearing from stores, before most people even notice. In this video, you'll discover 9 must-stock grocery items that experts, farmers, and seasoned preppers swear by, so you're ready before prices spike or shelves go bare. And I'm not just talking about the obvious ones. There are some surprising essentials that could make all the difference when supply chains break down. Stay with me until the end, because by the time you finish watching, you'll have a clear, fact-based shopping list to protect both your pantry and your wallet. And while you're watching, drop a quick comment. Have you seen empty shelves, sudden price hikes, or purchase limits where you shop? Your story might just help someone else prepare. Item 1, eggs. Eggs have quietly become the new grocery panic item, and with good reason. Stores across the US are seeing shortages, and some grocers have started limiting how many cartons a single customer can buy. It's not fear-mongering. Millions of laying hens were lost to highly pathogenic bird flu, and that wiped out a chunk of the country's supply almost overnight. The result was a shock to the system. Egg prices shot up fast in some months, nearly doubling from a year earlier, and they hit record highs in early 2025. That spike showed up everywhere, from checkout lines to diner menus where places like Waffle House even added a small surcharge because eggs suddenly cost the operators much more. Shoppers are posting photos of empty shelves and complaining about sky-high sticker prices on social media. Big chains and specialty stores have responded by capping purchases to make sure more customers can get at least a few eggs. At the same time, the government and industry have been scrambling, expanding imports, deploying relief money, and pushing biosecurity measures on farms, which helped push wholesale prices down from their peak, but retail costs and tight supply still sting many shoppers. Some markets saw wholesale prices climb into the single-digit per dozen range before retreating. Experts warn recovery will take time because flocks need to be repopulated and farms must sanitize and restock safely. That means eggs could stay volatile for months, and if you rely on fresh eggs for daily cooking, baking, or just your morning coffee ritual, this is one of those pantry items you might regret not thinking about until it's too late. Item 2. Canned meat and jerky. Canned meat and jerky are the quiet pantry heroes you don't notice until you need them. Right now, the U.S. meat department is huge and demand keeps growing, which makes shelf-stable proteins more valuable than ever. Jerky and meat snacks are booming too. The U.S. meat snacks market was worth over $4 billion in 2024 and is still climbing. That means more people are buying protein-packed snacks that last, and when fresh meat gets pricey or scarce, jerky becomes a go-to. Canned meats like Spam, canned chicken, and canned stews are built for this exact moment. They store easily. They don't need refrigeration. The USDA says low-acid canned foods, meat included, can safely keep their quality for 2 to 5 years if stored properly. That shelf life is huge when supply chains wobble and trips to the store get risky. We're already seeing real shortages in places that feed vulnerable people. Food pantries report trouble getting canned meat supplies right now, which is a red flag for wider availability. On top of that, the global appetite for jerky shows how popular long-life protein has become. The jerky snacks market was valued in the billions in 2024 and continues to expand. Practically speaking, a few cans of shredded chicken or beef and a handful of jerky strips will keep you fed without cooking. They're calorie-dense and protein-rich, so they help when fresh food is gone or too expensive. People on Reddit and prepper boards often call these first grabs because they stretch meals and boost morale in a pinch. The taste isn't gourmet, but the convenience and stability make canned meat and jerky a no-brainer for any emergency pantry. Store them cool and rotate older cans forward. Check dates, avoid dents, and keep a mix. Some canned stews, some plain chicken, and a few packets of jerky for quick energy. Item 3. Coffee, non-alcoholic beverages. Coffee is turning into one of those silent shortages. Roasted and instant coffee prices jumped roughly 12% year over year from May 2024 to May 2025. So that morning cup is getting noticeably pricier. The BLS shows the whole non-alcoholic beverages index rose 4.4% over the 12 months ending June 2025, and the coffee index alone climbed 2.2% just in June. Those are real moves you feel at checkout. There are a few reasons.
Global bean prices spiked because of bad weather in big producers like Brazil. Green coffee costs nearly doubled in recent years and hit all-time highs in early 2025. Shipping snarls and new tariffs on Brazilian imports have added more pressure. That combination means roasters and retailers face much higher wholesale bills. On the retail side, the price of ground coffee hit record levels earlier this year. Government data showed retail ground coffee near $7 per pound in January 2025, about 75% higher than it was in January 2020. That's not just a number, it's your $5 bag of beans becoming a $9 bag if trends keep going. People notice. Some shoppers are already buying extra bags to lock in prices. A MarketWatch piece reported consumers hoarding coffee and paying $15, $20 for premium bags in some places. Demand isn't falling much either. Even with higher prices, Americans still want that caffeine fix every morning. So stores move more product and prices stay firm. For a pantry strategy, think about variety. Whole bean coffee stores longer than pre-ground. Instant coffee can last the longest. Non-alcoholic beverages like bottled tea and powdered drinks also jumped in price and can be surprisingly useful when fresh options vanish. Short-term, expect sticker shock at specialty cafes and in the grocery aisle. Long-term, tariffs and climate risk mean prices could stay elevated for many months. Roasters are delaying increases, but once inventories thin, retail hikes follow. So grabbing a little extra now may feel smart to many shoppers. Item 4, beef, red meat. Right now, beef is one of those pantry items quietly sneaking off store shelves and into headlines. U.S. cattle numbers are at multi-decade lows. The national herd fell to about 86.7 to 94.2 million head, depending on the report. And that shrinking herd is pushing retail beef prices to record highs. Ground beef and common cuts are not immune. Ground beef hit roughly $6 per pound in mid-2025, and some steak cuts are pushing double-digit prices at the register. That's not a seasonal blip. It's a sustained trend driven by fewer animals available for slaughter and stronger consumer demand. Why does this matter to you? Fewer cattle today means less meat in stores tomorrow. Ranchers sold off animals during years of drought and high feed costs. It takes time to rebuild herds, roughly 2 years before a newborn calf becomes market weight, so even if ranchers start rebuilding now, supply will remain tight for a while. Meat packers and big processors are feeling the pinch too. Companies like Tyson are reporting losses in their beef divisions because they're paying much more for cattle while processing capacity hasn't expanded enough to smooth prices. That's causing some firms to shift output toward cheaper proteins like chicken. Another sign, beef availability could stay constrained. Imports can help, but they're not a magic fix. Disease scares and trade moves have limited some imports, and tariffs or policy changes can quickly tighten global supply. Meanwhile, demand for beef remains strong. In some reports, it's expected to be near multi-decade highs, which keeps pressure on prices even if production nudges up a bit. Bottom line for your pantry, if you rely on beef, think ahead. Freeze extra ground beef when you find it at a reasonable price. Buy vacuum-sealed steaks or canned beef for longer storage. Treat beef like a frontline staple for shortfalls. Stocking a little more now can save you money and stress later because the supply picture is unlikely to flip overnight. Item 5, rice and grains. Rice and grains are the silent backbone of every pantry. They fill bellies fast. They store well. That's why prepper wisdom always puts carbs at the top of the list. Right now in the U.S., the numbers show this isn't just theory, it's real life. Rough rice stocks on June 1st, 2025 were 69.7 million hundredweight, up 15% from the year before. That means there's more rice sitting in storage now than last year, but production has been tweaked and forecasts are shifting. Corn and other grain stocks tell a mixed story. Corn in all positions on June 1st, 2025 totaled 4.64 billion bushels, which is down 7% from June 1st, 2024. Some on-farm stockpiles rose, while off-farm stocks fell. That kind of distribution matters. It means availability at stores and markets can change fast, even if national totals look okay. Why should you care? Food at home prices climbed over the last year. The Consumer Price Index shows food at home rose about 2.4% over the 12 months ending June 2025. Cereals and bakery products moved too. When prices rise, people shift to staples, rice, pasta, oats, and demand spikes. That makes short-term shortages possible, especially in regions dependent on specific supply chains. Globally, USDA's WASD reports for 2025-26 show world rice supplies are effectively unchanged, but consumption is up and global stocks are smaller. In plain terms, more mouths, similar supplies, and tighter buffers. That can push prices and availability up quickly if weather or trade hiccups occur. What Reddit and prepper forums echo is simple and practical. People recommend stocking a mix: long grain rice, quick cook rice, rolled oats, and durable flours. These items are cheap per calorie. They're versatile too. You can make a meal from rice and a few canned goods for days. Community tips also stress rotation. Buy a little extra each shop and cycle older stock through cooking so nothing goes bad. Short sentences. Small steps. A big pantry buffer doesn't have to be dramatic. A few extra sacks of rice, some jars of whole grain, and a box or two of long-lasting pasta can buy you weeks of breathing room when a local shortage hits. Item 6. Sugar and sweets. Sugar and sweets feel small, but they matter. When times get tight, people still reach for chocolate or a candy bar. It's comfort you can eat. And right now, comfort is getting more expensive. Prices for sugar and sweets climbed noticeably in 2025. The USDA's Economic Research Service reports that prices for sugar and sweets were about 5.5% higher in June 2025 than in June 2024. They also forecast sugar and sweets prices to rise roughly 5.1% for 2025. That's not pocket change for families buying candy for kids or baking supplies for weekend treats. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows food at home prices rose too. Food at home was up 2.4% over the 12 months ending June 2025, and subcategories like non-alcoholic beverages and other food at home also climbed. That adds to the squeeze on pantry staples and indulgences alike. When people cut spending, snacks and sweets are often the first things they reconsider, or the last little luxury they allow themselves. Why is sugar getting pricier? A few reasons. Global commodity pressure on sugar and cocoa pushed input costs higher. Weather and planting fluctuations affected domestic beet and cane sugar output, while supply management rules and import settings keep U.S. sugar prices above global levels. That combination creates upward pressure on the shelf price for candy, baking sugar, and sweet snacks. Retail data and consumer surveys back this up. Market researchers at Nielsen IQ found consumers saying they'll buy fewer snacks and confectionery items if prices stay high. About 60% of respondents said they would cut back in the near term. Still, many shoppers trade down to cheaper brands rather than skip sweets entirely. That behavior keeps demand steady even as prices climb. For viewers who like quick, practical facts, sugar and candy are small-ticket items, but they're emotionally powerful. People will pay extra for a mood lift. That makes sweets a surprising risk during shortages. If supply tightens or cocoa and sugar spike again around holidays like Halloween, expect sharper price jumps and limited availability of favorite brands. Recent industry coverage warned of price rallies ahead of seasonal peaks. Short sentences. Simple idea. Sugar costs more now, but it still matters to shoppers, to budgets, and to morale. Item 7. Instant snacks. Instant snacks. Think granola bars, protein bars, crackers, and single-serve snack packs are the little lifesavers you don't notice until you really need them. People snack more than ever. Over 90% of global consumers grab something between meals every day, and that habit shows up in the US too. Snacks aren't just treats, they're quick calories, morale boosters, and tiny packs of comfort when the kitchen is a disaster. The snack bar market in the US is huge. In 2024, it was worth about $8.9 billion, and it's still growing. That growth means manufacturers keep launching new bars and flavors. But it also means supply can tighten fast when costs go up or demand spikes. If a factory slows down or ingredients like sugar or oats jump in price, your favorite bar can disappear from shelves. Right now, food prices are still on the move. Overall grocery prices were roughly 3% higher in June 2025 than a year earlier, and sugars and sweets jumped more, around 5.5% year over year. So candy, sweet bars, and many snack ingredients are getting more expensive. That's why grabbing extra shelf-stable snacks now can be smart. They store well, they don't need refrigeration, and in a short crisis, they give you ready energy without any fuss.
There's also a trend shift in what people want from snacks. Buyers now prefer bars that promise protein, fiber, or better ingredients. Big retailers and brands are adapting with smaller packs and private labels to keep prices in check. But as brands change recipes or cut lines, some classic snacks risk disappearing. Food industry analysts have flagged beloved snack lines that may be phased out because of cost and changing demand, which means stockpiling familiar comfort snacks might pay off if sentimental favorites vanish. From an emergency prep view, instant snacks are gold. A single protein bar can be 200-400 calories. That's enough to tide someone over in a pinch. Crackers pair with peanut butter for easy protein. Jerky and dense bars add staying power. They're compact, they're easy to eat on the go, and they're kid-friendly, which matters when you're trying to keep everyone calm. Retailers sometimes limit purchases during shortages, so buying a bit extra early avoids those limits and price spikes later. People on forums and social feeds keep saying the same thing. When shelves get thin, snack aisles empty fast. That's not dramatic, it's real. Keep a mix of savory and sweet. Pick bars with good shelf life, rotate them so nothing goes stale, and remember, snacks do more than fill bellies. They keep spirits up when grocery runs turn into scavenger hunts. Item 8. Frozen not packaged produce. Alternatives, frozen fruit and frozen vegetables are quietly becoming the unsung heroes of the pandemic-era pantry, and there's a reason. Fresh produce supply is wobbling, weather swings, transport delays, and shrinking fresh vegetable availability pushed U.S. per capita fresh vegetable availability to levels not seen in decades. The USDA's April 2025 Vegetables and Pulses outlook shows total per capita vegetable availability slipped to the lowest point in over 35 years, and fresh market production fell by about 4% in 2024. That gap doesn't always mean empty shelves of frozen items. Instead, it means frozen and processed options are taking up the slack. Frozen fruit and veg sales and production are growing. Industry forecasts put the frozen fruit market on an upward trajectory. The sector is projected to grow significantly through the rest of the decade as shoppers seek options that last longer and waste less. Buying frozen is not settling, it's strategic. You get nutrition, convenience, and shelf stability. Take blueberries as a clear example. In 2025, global blueberry shipments have been volatile. Some reports show exports down in the low double digits this year as weather damage and production swings hit major growing regions. That squeeze has driven retail gaps in fresh berries and pushed stores to rely on frozen packs to meet demand. If you love smoothies, muffins, or cereal toppings, frozen berries are often the only reliable option during short-term shortages. Prices matter too. The USDA's grocery price tracking shows that fresh produce prices can spike fast when supply drops. Frozen alternatives often hold price stability better because they're processed and stored in bulk. For many households, that stability translates to predictable budgets. In short, frozen options protect both your plate and your wallet when fresh supplies flip unpredictably. There's also a nutritional point people miss. Frozen fruits and vegetables are usually frozen at peak ripeness. That means they lock in nutrients. Studies and public health guidance show that frozen veggies can deliver comparable vitamins and minerals to fresh, especially if the fresh item has traveled long distances and sat in transport. So you're not sacrificing health, you're choosing resilience. Practically speaking, frozen packs are flexible. A 12 to 16 ounce bag of mixed vegetables can be a full family side one night and a partial ingredient for a soup the next. Frozen fruit can stretch into breakfast, baking, or sauces. When fresh lettuce or tomatoes are scarce or overpriced, frozen veggies and canned/packaged alternatives keep meals varied and affordable. Retailers are noticing, and inventory data shows frozen packs frequently restock faster than some fresh SKUs in volatile seasons. Another point, global production swings matter for U.S. shoppers. Some countries that export berries and other fruit had a rough 2024-2025 season because of extreme weather. In response, U.S. suppliers and importers are leaning on frozen stocks from other regions and frozen processing plants to fill gaps. That's why you might see more frozen blueberry promotions or larger frozen fruit displays during certain months. Distributors are shifting focus to frozen inventory when fresh yields drop. If you're thinking storage, frozen stuff is easy. A small upright freezer or even a well-organized freezer drawer can store weeks or months of frozen produce depending on household size. Unlike fresh produce that needs daily attention, frozen items remove the pressure to eat everything instantly. That reduces waste, a big plus when prices are high and budgets are tight. Finally, consumer behavior is shifting. Surveys and market studies show more households buy frozen fruit and frozen vegetables regularly compared to 5 years ago. That shift isn't just convenience-driven, it's a rational response to supply instability and price swings. If you want to keep your meals balanced during shortages, frozen and packaged produce alternatives are one of the smartest, least flashy moves you can make right now. Have you already switched to frozen when fresh items disappeared? Drop a quick line in the comments. Where are you seeing shortages and which frozen finds saved your meal that week? Item 9, cooking oils and basics. Cooking oil and pantry basics are the kind of things nobody thinks will vanish. Then one day the shelves are thin or empty and suddenly you notice how much you relied on a bottle of oil or a bag of flour. This isn't hypothetical. Food prices are still up. The overall food CPI in the U.S. was about 3.0% higher in June 2025 than June 2024.
That's real pressure on basics everyone uses. Vegetable oils are a great example of how fast something common can get tight. In 2022 and into 2023, global shocks pushed palm oil and other vegetable oil markets into a squeeze. Indonesia's policy choices and a drop in output pushed prices up. That squeeze didn't just stay overseas, it reverberated through global supply chains and grocery aisles. Listen, when vegetable oil supplies tighten, retail shelves feel it within weeks. You'll hear people talk about palm oil bans from 2022. That really happened. When big producers restrict exports, buyers scramble. Prices spike. Substitutes like soybean and sunflower oil jump too. A brief export ban and lower harvests pushed global vegetable oil prices higher in 2022, and the effects carried on for years after. If you think an oil shortage sounds far away, remember how quickly markets move when a big exporter changes policy. Butter is another story. It's simple but essential. Cakes, toast, cooking, butter is everywhere. Global butter prices shot higher in 2024 and into 2025. Europe saw dramatic hikes. That global tightness puts upward pressure on U.S. prices as well. The USDA and dairy market reports show the U.S. dairy complex has had volatile swings, with tight pockets at times, and stronger demand for butterfat pushing export interest. That mix means butter can be both pricier and scarcer than people expect. For everyday shoppers, this translates to obvious and not so obvious problems. You might notice the price per pound of butter creeping up. You might also see stores limiting purchases during a short run, or suppliers prioritizing big food companies, leaving smaller stores with less. Those supply chain moves are invisible until your favorite brand is missing. The data on butter averages and market reports backs this up. Prices rose and inventories tightened. Flour seems unshockable. It's wheat, it's everywhere. But climate impacts and export decisions can change that fast. In 2022-2023, we saw how weather, shipping, and trade friction can create scarcity for staples. Flour-dependent foods are huge in every household. When flour gets tight, prices rise and baking budgets shrink. It's not hyperbole to say flour can be one of the first staples to feel supply stress in a wide shortage. Practical reality. When oils and basics tighten, alternatives get expensive too. If palm oil gets tight, buyers switch to soy or sunflower. Demand booms. Prices follow. That ripple effect means your olive oil, your canola, and your baking fats all move together. Traders are watching biodiesel mandates and replanting rates in major producing countries because those policies directly affect what ends up on your store shelf. The long-term forecasts even warn of constrained palm oil output unless replanting and investment pick up. What do recent numbers tell us about household pain points? The Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI summary shows food categories still above year-ago levels. Consumers feel it in the cart. Retail price series for butter show notable increases relative to historical norms. And USDA reports continue to flag risks in dairy and oil markets because of demand shifts, export patterns, and production variability. These are not tiny blips. They're measurable and they affect every meal. Storage and substitution matter when shelves thin out. A bottle of neutral vegetable oil keeps far longer than fresh butter at room temperature, but butter freezes well. Flour stores for months if kept dry and cool. When you hear about shortages, people who react smart buy a mix. Some shelf-stable oils, some butter to freeze, and extra flour in airtight containers. That combination buys time and flexibility in recipes. Markets don't care about comfort, they care about supply and demand. You can use storage and substitution to blunt that volatility. The market signals that brought us these shortages are still in play. Biodiesel mandates, aging palm oil trees, and insufficient replanting slow future growth for cheap oils. Dairy export interest and tight production pockets can keep butter prices sticky. Weather shocks and trade policy can pinch flour supplies. All of those forces mean that cooking oil and pantry basics are not trivial items to overlook. They are strategic. So what does this mean for you in plain terms? Watch prices and public reports. Notice when stores start limiting purchases or when online prices spike. Think about practical substitution. Olive oil for a dash, frozen butter for baking, different flours depending on the recipe. And pay attention when large market reports or government outlooks flag risk. Those are the early warning lights before a real shortage shows up on shelves. When grocery inflation hits a category like oils or butter, households make quick adjustments. Some people switch brands, some switch products. Others delay non-essential baking and entertaining. Those small choices combined with supply-side moves can make shortages feel worse. That's why the smart moves now are simple. Diversify your pantry, learn substitutions, and pay attention to credible market signals. The data from USDA, Reuters, and market reports show the patterns. They also show what to watch next. Quick recap. The 9 items you need to think about right now: eggs, canned meat and jerky, coffee and drinks, beef, red meat, rice and grains, sugar and sweets, instant snacks and bars, frozen or packaged produce, and cooking oils and basics like butter and flour. These aren't panic buys, they're practical moves. This isn't paranoia, it's power. A little planning today means less stress tomorrow. Go check your pantry, see what you already have, fill the real gaps first. Small steps add up fast. Did we miss a must-stock item? Drop your secret stash in the comments. Your tip might save someone else. Smash that like button if you've ever faced empty shelves. Subscribe for more simple prepping hacks and weekly grocery alerts. Hit the bell so you're not caught off guard next time prices spike or shelves run dry. Thanks for watching, and stock smart, not scared.